everybody in Freedom Talk Land. Happy to welcome you again to share with us what's going on, and I'm excited to be here. So I got to think of something to say real quick, and then we'll just kind of carry on. So I hope that this day has found you in some sort of well-being. I think tonight we'll talk about a couple of ideas, but I'll start with this that popped into my head. That I always envision myself on a path. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like a journey, like on a path. And but through my life, there's been times that I've had some difficulty because I would try to be a path maker instead of a path walker. And those times would be sometimes quite difficult for me. And we get a message from early on sometimes that we're supposed to be a path maker or a path builder. And I suppose that there may be a couple of times, very few in life at any, that we would be required to actually hack our way and make a path. But I don't think that's the way to go all the time. We're called to follow a path that we're on. If by some chance that I'm called to be making a path, that would actually be walking a path at the same time. Does that make sense at all? But overall, I do not try to view my life and my interactions as me building or making a path. I just try to follow the one that I'm on. And sometimes these ideas and words can get real close, together, but you may be under the impression that you are here or that you find yourself here in this place and time today, and that your task is to build a new path. But I'm going to encourage you to just walk the path that you're on. Sometimes I have to look up and maybe I have to choose a new path, but I'm not building one. And if you're called to choose a new path, then we're here to support that idea. But the best I can do is get up a day at a time, take a step at a time on the path that I'm on. Sometimes just an hour at a time, not even a day. And I will tell you that sometimes the path that I'm on is not very clear to me. It's a path. I'm not sure exactly that I know where the next turn is, what direction it's going to be, the elevation, the temperature. I'm not sure that I know exactly where the path is leading. In the short term, I'm confident where the path is leading in the long haul. And I think that makes a big difference. That I've confessed to you before, I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God, the Savior of the world, and that's good news to me. And that's about all there is to it. Because I need a Savior. I need saving from myself. So I'm confident in my faith and my belief that the path, the long path, that's where it's going. But day to day, I don't have a clue. It turns this way, it turns that way. Sometimes it seems really dark. Sometimes it seems rough. Other times not. Light, smooth. Just day at a time. In recovery, we have little sayings. Maybe you know this one. Help me with this. Let's see. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, yeah, it's okay. I know y'all say the whole thing, and y'all are good. I know, and that's really good. We'll stop there because in other meetings we get lazy and we just stop there. We have to read the rest of it. But note, what did you hear right there? Grant me the serenity. I want to pull a few words out and then unpack them maybe. The serenity. Serenity is peace of mind. Serenity is contentment. Serenity is being okay with where I am in the moment, in the process. It's not necessarily happiness, and it certainly is not tranquility. To be tranquil is to be in a state where all of your ducks are in a row. I ain't never been tranquil. Serenity is my ducks won't get in a row. You herd them, you try to get them lined up, they won't stay there. It's like herding cats, the same thing, They won't get in a row, but serenity is, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Try to line those ducks up the best I can, and that's it. I'm okay. So serenity is what we're looking for. And a couple of other words surrounded by change. It says, grant me the serenity to accept, and courage. The two words that are connected to the idea of change, one is accept, one is courage. I want to draw attention to a word that is not there, and that's the idea of control. In order to change, I must be able to accept, and I must have courage. I must see the distinction there, and I have to get out of this illusion of control. And that's maybe kind of the ideas we want to unpack. If you look underneath all of our logistics and underneath all of our, what we might call symptoms and the stuff that we're struggling with, it is my belief that we get all the way down to the root issue, and it's always control. We are, by nature, creatures of control. We're trying to control everything. And that's when we get sideways and out of whack. I've mentioned this before, but for some of you who haven't heard me ever before, I'll quickly tell you why I believe that's the root of everything. Because if you believe the story, or at least you look in the story of creation, and Adam and Eve, we'll call them that for purposes of the story, they lived in paradise. There was the garden, right? Everything was provided. It was really nice. They could have anything they wanted. There was one tree there, the knowledge of good and evil. It said, don't eat that one. You do not need to understand the contrast between good and evil. It's not necessary. Stay away from it. You don't want that knowledge. Because if you go there, and if you partake of that fruit, if you demand that knowledge, it's going to kill you. That was the state of existence. Well, you know the story, right? The temptation, or the tempter came, the conversation happened, we ate, our eyes were opened. I'm offering for your consideration that the real temptation there was about control. The temptation was, if I know everything, I can be like God. Of course, we were already like God, but if I have all of the knowledge, that was the lie, the deception. If I have all of the knowledge between good and evil, then I can and will control my life. Now, the message was, don't do that because you can't. It'll kill you. But we didn't know any of that. The temptation was to control. And as you know, we're cast out of the garden, and life as we know it starts. And so we are in, by nature, by human nature, we are in a long series of trying to control and getting sideways, not being able to. We try, we can't. We try and we can't. Because it is really not in our nature at this point to control. We are just in the world. Okay, and however things happen and line out, we can't really affect a whole lot of control. Remember, accept and courage. Keep holding those two ideas, accept and courage. And so where do we put the idea of control? Well, I'm going to offer for your consideration that we need the best of our ability to eliminate or get away from the idea of control. And that's very difficult to do because it's deeply entrenched inside our makeup. It's just how we are. And again, this is what makes the situation here such a beautiful factor. Because one of the things that drugs and alcohol will do for me is it will drive me to the ground in a way that's very visible. We said this last week. I mean, it takes control, right? We can relate to that. It really takes control. Other people are struggling with the same stuff, but the symptoms that they're dealing with are not as visible, and it doesn't, it takes control too, but it doesn't necessarily just drive you to the ground. Now, the good news about that is our opportunities are more visible. They're more alive. So when you think about being here and you think about acceptance and you think about courage, is that new? Has that always been up there?
It's been there first.
It's new? That looks good. That's me. I hadn't recognized that yet, so good for that. When you think about the idea of control, I'm going to pull in something that we all deal with in the culture. Really we struggle with what to do with emotions. We've talked about emotions before, but I'm going to circle back around to that and kind of set the table so maybe it will help some of your discussions as you go through your time here. But if I were to ask you about emotions or what are emotions, generally people say, oh, those are feelings, right? That's what we feel, and that's a fine word for it. I move it down to 4 emotions, just 4 basic emotions. I do that because they're easy to remember, and then that way I can have discussion about where I am. We also start out with we ask the wrong question. We usually ask, how are you feeling, or how are you doing? That's a common phrase. Very hard to answer. But we didn't know it was hard to answer, so we come up with things that don't carry a lot of meaning, like fine, or good, or how are you doing? I'm okay. How are you, well, how you feeling? Pretty good, so. All right. Or if we got real graphic, we could say some other things, not so good, and, we won't do that because we're on TV. But we won't go there. But none of those were emotions. So how do you feel can never get you connected with what's really going on. So instead of how, we're going to change the question. And some of you have heard this before, but don't use how, we're going to use what. What do you feel? What are you feeling? What do you feel? Now, if I just ask you that right now, I'd be interested to take a poll. We won't, but I wonder what's running through your head, because some will be going, what do you mean? We have such a hard time identifying what we feel because we've been so removed from the proper question. What do you feel? Sometimes people will tell me, oh, I'm tired. Okay, not an emotion. But yeah, you can feel tired. Physically, you could be tired. Or some people go, I'm hungry. Well, okay, not an emotion. Okay, so what? What are you feeling? And this is where I get her down to 4 emotions, because we can remember those. Some of y'all remember this, I know. But I'm going to put them up here without anything else because it's hard to see the board. I can feel, can you read that? No. How about another? You can be mad. Have you ever been mad? Yes. Okay, so we can connect to that one. Okay. All right, good. Sad. You can be mad. You can be sad. You're going to like this. You can be glad. I don't know if you've noticed, but we've got 3 that rhyme. So what's the last one? I will tell you it doesn't rhyme. It's the one that don't rhyme. Mad, sad, glad. Glad would be happy. And there's you could fill in another adjective with this, but I go mad, sad, glad, and there you go. Scared.
Okay.
Afraid, fear, scared, or scarred. In Texas, we say scarred. You done scarred me? Last time, I got scars on my hands. Anyway, multiple word. So, now, this is just a way to frame it in where it's easier to talk about. There's 100 feeling words that you can look up that are going to define nuances or combinations of this. You with me? They're all correct too. I just can't remember all of them. And I don't know exactly what they mean. If someone tells me, and I'm supposed to know this stuff, they come in the office and they go, Dr. Bartee, I've just been feeling really melancholy. I go, is that like a fruit? Is that, what are you talking about? And I'm supposed to know all these words. So I don't use them because I can remember these 4 is mad, sad, glad, and scared. So I always kind of get people in that lane of talking, and I believe it will help you. So if I were to ask you again, like a multiple choice question on a test at school, which we're not in, thank God we're not in school. If I were to ask you a multiple choice question, what do you feel? And there's your answers. You don't have to say it out loud. Yeah. This is what you can feel. And you can feel all 4 of them at the same time. And often do. Sometimes you might even go, wow, what am I feeling? And you might go, I don't really feel anything. I'm not feeling anything. Well, here's the good news about that. If you're not feeling anything, you are by default just a little bit glad. I mean, think about it. If you're not mad, and you're not sad, and you're not scared, you're glad. Now you're not like turning backflips or jumping over yourself with enthusiastic happiness. But I want you to remind yourself, if you're not experiencing mad, sad, or scared, I'm a little bit glad then. And you kind of get used to not feeling. Or you get used to convincing yourself that you are not feeling. And then that can be a bit of a problem. We'll look at that here indirectly. So here's your options. We don't ask how, we ask what. What are you feeling? So as you guys go through tomorrow and the next day, see if you can remember to ask each other and yourself, what am I feeling? It's going to draw you into identifying your emotions much better. Because if you stay with how, we stay disconnected. I've told this before, and you probably don't remember, but the only answer to how you are feeling should be with my hands. How do you feel? With my hands. You know, you don't have to reach out and touch anybody unless you want to. But this is how I feel with these. What am I feeling emotionally? It's this. It's this right here. Now, I'm going to throw another little question word in here and try to help us. Have you ever put any thought into trying to figure out why you are feeling what you feel? If you're alive, you have. Because see, they told you that if you could figure out the proverbial if you could figure out why you're feeling what you're feeling, you can change it. I'm going to let you in on a secret that is a not so sneaky lie. Why gives you nothing but a little bit of insight, maybe. And insight usually causes blindness. You don't need why. That may sound odd to you. You don't need to know why. Why is a qualifying question. We like to know why because you remember the temptation? Knowledge of what? Knowledge equates with why. If I know, I can control. We'll say it again. If I know, I can control. Kind of all our issues. I'm not saying that you never get a why. I'm saying it's not important, okay? Sometimes I know why. Sometimes I don't. Accept and courage. Sometimes I know why. It could be obvious. When a why is there, it just emerges and it's obvious. If you're searching for a why, you don't need to. Don't be driving yourself crazy for a why if it's not just staring you in the face, because it'll consume your thinking. And I'm going to tell you, even if you know why, you still feel what you feel. Why never does anything. Just doesn't. So don't waste a lot of time with why. We're not going to ask how. We're going to deal with what, and we're not going to worry about why. And I'm going to learn to identify these. And here's the second illusion or message we want to unpack. You have grown up in a culture that will tell you that you are supposed to control these emotions. And if you cannot control these emotions, then you are less than and or somewhat defective. You with me? The things that I do, okay, I'll even put my behaviors, okay, my actions, all make sense? The things that I do and the things that I say, the actions that I take, that's what I can exert some control over. So hang on with me right here. Accept. You with me? Accept. Courage. Accept. Courage. Courage to change the things that I can, or the things that I do. Those are the things that I do. Give me the serenity and give me the courage to change the things that I can, things that I do. But I got to be able to accept what I feel. You can see how we get sideways because as small people, we grow up and we get a message of don't feel. Don't feel, don't feel, don't feel. I would get mad, I'd be on the playground, I'd get in a fight, okay? I'd get punished for getting in a fight. I was in a fight because I was mad. I was being punished, though, for what I was doing. But the connection, I didn't get the distinction. I felt also like I was being punished for what? Being mad. Make sense to you? Because I was mad and I was doing this and I was punished. So the whole thing got kind of welded together. And I kept growing up thinking the way to not do something that gets me in trouble is to not feel the emotion that was connected. This is a real subtle change. Real subtle nuance of delivery, but that's what happens. I was told occasionally to stop crying, that big boys don't cry. Or the classic, you better quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about, which was always quite confusing to me, that I shoved down the crying. No, we're built to cry. We are supposed to cry. That's our spiritual expression. We've been socialized to believe that it is a weakness. That's a lie. It's not a weakness. It's a part of our inherent fabric. We are built to cry. But if society tells me that crying as an action is negative or something I shouldn't do, I get another message of don't feel. Because I cry when I'm sad. See how messed up we are? So if I don't want to cry, I try to control being sad. Well, these are the things that I can't control. These are the things that must be accepted. These are the things that need courage, okay, that I can control. In the case of crying, I need to cry. When I'm glad, that's an odd one because we'll come back to this, but everybody's okay with you being happy. As long as you're not too happy. If you're too happy, I don't trust you. Something's up, something's wrong, so you got to dial that back in. We're getting these constant messages of not feeling and scared. Man, you were always taught to pretend like you're not scared. And I was scared. I still get scared. I'm scared because it's a natural part of humanity. But the world told me all along, every step of the way, Don't be scared. So all of these messages of not feeling and all of these instances of behaviors that come along with them, all sitting on top of the illusion that I'm supposed to control all of this stuff. It's no wonder we get sideways. It's no wonder. I'm trying to reject things that I can't reject. I don't have the courage to actually control the things that I have access to. So it all gets flipped around backwards. And it gets so uncomfortable and so scary. Of course, I take something to not feel or to control that. Makes sense, doesn't it? When the whole process is jacked up and incorrect, it makes a lot of sense to take something to get out of that for a little bit. Now you understand what I'm saying. I'm talking about process. I'm not saying, oh, don't worry about using, because we also know the temporary fix does not provide a solution. But doesn't it make sense? If you're in an insane context like that, it makes a lot of sense to take or drink something or smoke something for a little bit, and I don't have to worry about that. Made sense to me. So we see our predicament. So if this, all of what I said, the world will teach you to reject what you feel, right? But the serenity prayer tells me to do what? Accept. I accept what I feel. I accept it as part of being alive. No longer do I frame or think about emotions as being positive or negative. There is no such thing as negative emotions, and I bet you probably even have that in some of your literature. I'm not sure. So I may be contradicting some of your curriculum. If I am, I'm sorry. Just massage it around and make it all fit. But I think you kind of understand what I'm saying. You will read and hear people talk about negative emotion. Have you ever heard that? I'm sorry, but I disagree. There's no such thing as negative emotion. There's plenty of negative behavior. Done that a lot. So these items over here, they certainly can be positive or negative, right? What I do can be positive or negative. What I feel is never either positive or negative. It's simply an emotion. It's a feeling. It's inherent. It exists. It's there. Did you ever hear anybody say, hey, don't trust what you're feeling? Sorry, I disagree. You can categorically, absolutely, 100% trust what you're feeling. If you feel it, you feel it. All of that thinking that gets poured into why, can't always trust that. You with me? Thinking, I do not trust. Feeling, I always trust. Because it's just that. It's simple. We get those terms mixed up sometimes. I'll ask somebody, well, what are you feeling today? And they'll start talking in this long stream of explanation about God knows what. And I said, no, stop. I want to know what you're feeling. And they go right back into it, tell me what they're thinking. And so I have to, give them the multiple choice thing. You can always trust what you're feeling. Be careful trusting your thinking, and if you're not sure what to do, ask someone. Ask. And you'll never go wrong here. If you don't know what to do, don't do anything. Wait. Sit. Be still. And people go, well, what are, I mean, if somebody's on fire, you probably know what to do. I'm not going, let me run through my options of what to do. I'm not sure. No, you kind of know what to do. Of course, you take action then, but there are times in life that you just don't know what to do, and don't do anything. Talk to somebody. They may not know either. So the world tells me to reject them, these emotions, but I must intentionally work on changing, choosing, walking a path of acceptance. I accept what I feel. The Son of God came down here and lived with us, amongst us. And if you read his story, what will you discover? Was Jesus ever mad? Yeah. Was Jesus ever sad? Yeah. Was Jesus ever happy? Had to be, but I don't find a story in there about that. And was Jesus ever scared? Absolutely. Scared to death. So he came and lived as one of us and accepted all the emotions. Never once is there any instruction about changing that or moving it, or don't feel this and don't feel that. There's never a single time of instruction that points in any direction that we should not do anything but accept what we're feeling. And if the world teaches us to reject it, I'm going to say that I think at least it's partially these emotions, mad, sad, glad, and scared, are part of the image of God. Because everybody has them. Everybody shares them. If you believe we're all created in the image of the Great Spirit, it's not a physical image, obviously. It's an image of the heart. And every heart holds emotion. It would be a brilliant strategy by the evil one to get all of us to reject the very image of God that exists within us, wouldn't it? That'd be a pretty good strategy. Now, I accept what I'm feeling. Try this little exercise on. The next time you get mad, see if this computes. You go, oh, this is just kind of like God. I am experiencing something that the Great Spirit does. Or the next time you're sad, this is just like the Creator. He feels this, I feel this. One and the same. Or when you're scared. Does it ever occur to you that when you are feeling what you're feeling, you are just like the Creator? Does that come to your mind? Usually not. We feel disconnected and pulled away because we've been told we're doing it wrong to reject those when we feel we have even been told that we are disconnected from the Creator. But that is another lie. You are never more connected to the Great Spirit than when you accept what you feel and you embrace it and you process it and you let it come in like a wave and go out like a wave. Otherwise, you are carrying it. You walk around with it and you hold it, and it gets heavy, and it's hard to move, and it's hard to do anything. And I just need some relief from carrying all of it. That equates much more to us, doesn't it? So can I accept that this is the very image of God, not reject it? Can I look here and find the courage to choose another path? If I reject, I tend to avoid what I'm feeling. And once I start avoiding what I am feeling, it puts me into a long series of hiding. I have to hide. I even try to hide from myself. This is the dilemma. Rejecting, avoiding, and hiding. That will always move people, whether they're struggling with drugs and alcohol or not. It will always move people towards, and I'll tell you what I'm writing. It's hard to see, I know. Isolation. Did you ever feel like you were just being funneled and pushed towards isolation? Even in a group of people, I felt isolated. And I will offer for your consideration that it comes from this fallacy here, that I have not learned how to do something different. I'm rejecting, I'm avoiding, and I'm hiding. That's where shame comes in. So, man, what can we do? How do we choose another path? What can we do that might be different? We've already said one. I need to accept. That might call for courage as well. See how they're laced together? Are you courageous enough to accept the fact that sometimes you're scared? Are you courageous enough to live with that reality? Are we courageous enough to live with the reality that sometimes I'm going to be sad and I'm going to be mad and sometimes I'll be glad? Those are the facts of life. There is no insulation or there is no way to live in the absence of this reality, of these emotions. There's no way. And people will offer a way to do that where you're always happy. It's just not true. It's not true. It's an illusion. They need to stay in Disneyland. But they'll offer it. They'll say, do this, believe this, walk like this, talk like this, dress like this. Life is going to be okay. Life is never okay. Life is tough. We have a way to respond to tough stuff. We're resilient. We're not fragile. We can respond to difficulties. But life's not, there's no easy life. So I'm going to accept. Do you have courage? It's getting a little worse as we go. Do you have courage to feel what you're feeling? Can you sit with your emotion? Because we spend a lot of time running from it, as if it's the problem. Pain is not a problem. Pain is just pain. With proper processing, pain always heals. If I'm not feeling stuff or I have a bad process, pain can stay around for a long time. And gives you the idea that the pain is the problem. It's the process that is the problem. Are you with me? Not the pain. Pain is reality. We all have it. We're all going to have it. It's not the enemy. But if I don't have a process to heal, that can get pretty, that's a big tall order. Make sense?
Yes.
So we're looking to choose a path, a process, if you will, of healing. So we don't try to avoid pain. It's not the enemy. Do you have the courage to lean into what you feel, as opposed to avoiding it, right? And finally, here, do you have the courage to share? They get it's a little, accepting is one thing, feelings, sharing, ugh. You know why that is? Well, I'll speak for me. I won't speak for you, but I kind of think you're like me. Because I spent a lot of years being pushed towards isolation. You see, the challenge here is when I share, if I'm not sharing with other people who are actually doing this, I get another repetition of this. Does that make sense? Have you ever told somebody your struggle, you're trying to share, and you're telling them what you feel, and you get the wisdom of I'll be nice. You get the wisdom of someone that's saying, oh, you really shouldn't feel that way? Knock them out. Yeah, probably not. Don't knock them out, not literally, but don't you want to? I'm telling you what I feel, and you're telling me I shouldn't feel that. First of all, I've already told that to myself because I've heard that a bajillion times from all these good intended people over here, but they're in the wrong process. So I'll tell you what I'm feeling, you tell me why I shouldn't feel it, and I kind of go, thanks for nothing. I won't be talking to you anymore at all unless it's about where we're going to eat. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to talk to you. Because I tried to share, but I was rejected. Because we've all been pushed to isolation. Now, the folks that you're talking to are not in the forefront of their mind saying, "Ooh, I'm going to reject this person." It's just been culturally funneled in a bad process for so many years. That's just kind of what happens. So in order to do this, we must create pockets of community like this with people who will accept, unconditionally accept what we're feeling, feel it with me, sit with it, not change it, allow it to do its own thing, sit with it, and share. Now that's a healing process. Are you with me? It's a healing process, and you don't need to understand any whys to practice that. I don't need to know why you're scared. Don't spend all group time telling me why you're scared. Let's sit with each other and be scared. And share and talk and see if that doesn't lift a little. You see, there's a feedback loop kind of that happens here. If I have this healthy process in place, I can be mad. And I get mad occasionally, but if I accept it, I feel it, and I share it, it comes all the way back around, and I get a little bit of what? I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I talked about that. I'm glad I got that off my chest. You with me?
Yes.
That's the way it happens. If I'm unhealthy and I get rejected, if I'm mad and I try to talk about mad, I end up being more mad. Or more sad. And we don't talk about scared ever anyway. Nobody's doing that. But if you'll talk about this, you end up, except feeling shared, it always comes back, and I'm glad that I did that. I've told this story before, and I think I'll end with this. Some of the guys that I've been around here 20 plus years have heard this, but I tell a story about my daughter. I have a daughter, she's 38 now. I know, I don't look that old, thank you very much. I had children when I was 12. I didn't have children. Anyway, you get it. My daughter, she's about 38 now, and she's a pistol now. She was emotional, she was fiery, she was much more like me than my son and my youngest daughter. And you could tell what she was feeling all the time. And so she came in one day, she comes in, I think she's in 7th grade. She comes storming in the room. Chris, my son, had brought him home. You know, I got the Cubs game going. I'm getting ready. Me and Chris, my son, we're going to watch the Cubs. And here comes Casey, my daughter. You know, she's mad. So that little dumb voice in my head goes, okay, I'm like supposed to be a parent, right? Am I supposed to correct this? I think I'm supposed to. Yeah. Okay, she's mad, so I'm supposed to do this, and I'm really like, nah, the Cubs are getting ready to start. So I don't do anything. So Cubs are on, Chris sits down, I'm into it, and here she comes again. I'm like, oh, it's like another sign, you know. Am I supposed to do something here, or this game is pretty good, I'm excited about this. So she came through a third time. I said, Casey, I said, you mad today? Yes, sir. And I'm like, well, what's going on? So I didn't know what she was going to do. I kind of thought she might just another flyby and just go on mind her own business. But she turns, she comes, and she sits down in my lap. She's about 13, 12, 13. She sits in my lap. And now I really don't know what's going on, you know, because I'm like, the Cubs they're playing, and so I go, well, you know, what's going on? Well, see, and I can't remember verbatim. She's like, this person and that person, and this happened and that happened, and and then she says, I just, you know, and I've got one eye on her and one eye on the game, you know. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. You know how you do it. And she goes a little longer, and then she's like, I hate them. And then I thought that was a real clue for a parent clue, you know. I thought, I think I'm supposed to correct that, right? Okay, but I'll give you some insight to me. She goes, I hate them. And for some reason, thank God for the Spirit, for some reason I said, I hate them too. I promise you, I'm not thinking nothing, but the Cubs are on. I said, okay, I hate them too. She's still sitting here, right? And it kind of took her aback. I wasn't really watching her, but it kind of, she said, well, Daddy, you don't even know them. I said, baby, I don't care. I said, girl, if you hate them, I hate them. I said, I'm with you. And she sat there a little bit longer, and she goes, well, so and so and so and so, this is happening, and so on, and their folks are splitting up, and I know she's having a hard time, and she starts talking, she starts sharing all this stuff. Guys, I promise you, I'm still got one eye on the game, you know. And in a minute, it's 2 or 3 minutes, she's telling me this stuff, and she just hops up off my lap and skips on off. Like, she's happy. She's fine as she can be. Now I'm getting interested. Because I'm like, holy moly, that was easy. So now I'm thinking, what just happened? Because I'm like, if the Cubs hadn't been playing, I would have messed this one up. And you know what happened? It's just when I started putting some of this together. Not because I'm smart or know everything or have any kind of degrees or anything like that. It's because I was interested in a baseball game. This happened. I accepted. We felt it. She shared. And it was gone. It was gone. And I marveled at that. And I took note. And I said, that ain't very hard to do. I can do that. And that's what I tried to do. And I will tell you, 38 years old, you know what she still does? Sits on my lap and tells me what's going on. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a blessing? And if I'd have tried to be a parent, I'd have messed that all up. So you got to interact, particularly with your kids. You interact with your kids like they're people, not projects. We're people. And it was such a neat thing to discover and start putting some of these things together, that if we are just free to feel, we all kind of start regulating ourselves. I promise you, if we're free to feel and we get off of the path that has us trapped, where we're rejecting, avoiding, and hiding, right? If we can get off of that one and create a climate where we're free to feel, we will regulate what we do. And that's recovery. That's recovery without control. Except courage. So I offer those things for your consideration today. You've been, as always, super nice to me to listen, so God bless you in your time here. Thank you.